What if I told you that your sense of peace was never controlled by other people? Not by what they say, not by what they do, not even by how hard they try to hurt you. The truth is simple but uncomfortable. No one has ever truly made you angry. They've only exposed the places inside you that haven't healed yet. Most people move through life reacting. They live like emotional puppets, pulled by invisible strings they refuse to notice. One comment ruins their entire day. One betrayal shatters their spirit. One misunderstanding turns into a full-scale war. But it doesn't have to be this way. The Stoics believe that real strength isn't about being untouchable. It's about being unshaken. Your calm was never mean to be fragile, constantly at the mercy of other people's moods, opinions, or mistakes. It's mean to be rotated in reason, in clarity, in that part of you that can step back, breathe, and choose how to respond. Not just react. The world will test you. That's inevitable. But whether you get dragged into its chaos, that part is up to you. This video is about disclaiming that choice. It's about learning how to protect your calm as if it were sacred. Because it is. Through the lens of Stoicism, we'll explore some of the most powerful mental shifts you can make starting today. Not abstract philosophy, not distance theory, but grounded, practical steps that help you stop fighting everything and start leading from within. And if these ideas resonate with something real inside you, something rotated in truth, philosophy, and inner growth, consider subscribing. It's a small action, but it helps this channel reach minds like yours and quietly signals that you're walking this path with intention. Now, let's talk about anger. Not the explosive kind filled with shouting and fury, but the quieter kind. The kind that simmers when someone lets you down. When they cross a line you thought was oblivious. The kind that sits heavy in your chest and whispers, "How could they?" We often assume our anger is about them. The rude person, the careless comment, the disrespect. But here's the shift. More often than not, it's not about them at all. It's about the story you were telling yourself, the unspoken examination you had, one they never even knew exist. Anger apps when reality doesn't match the mental script you are holding. You examined consultation. You exposed loyalty, gratitude, even a simple thank you. And when it didn't happen, your mind screams, "This isn't how it's supported to go." But who decided how it was supported to go? Did the other person agree to your findings? Did they even know the rules you were playing by? Carl Jung once said, "Everything that irritates us about others can lead us to an understanding of ourselves." And that hits hard. Because what if your anger isn't just a reaction, but a mirror? What if it's pointing towards something unresolved inside you? Something mean to be expressed, not supported or exploded over? Stoicism topics us to question our assessments. So when someone's behavior triggers anger, the Stoic response isn't to lash out, it's to pause, to trace the emotion back to its root and ask, what was I hoping for that didn't happen? What is love just got challenged? Let's make this real. Your friend cancels plans again, and you're furious. Not because of the acceleration but because deep down there's a benefit. People who care about me follow through. They don't flake. Maybe that love comes from past disappointments. Maybe from a time when you felt forgotten or unimportant. That's not weakness. That's human. But the key insight is this. The anger isn't about this one cancelled plan. It's about a deeper wound being touched. Socrates said, "The unexamined life is not worth living." And when it comes to emotions, especially anger, examination is where wisdom lives. Instead of reacting blindly, you start asking better questions. Why did this other me so much? Why this? Why now? And just like that, you move from being controlled by your emotions to learning from them. Aristotle believed that anyone can become angry. That's easy. But to be angry with the right person, at the right time, for the right reason, and in the right way, that's the hard part. That's emotional matter. Here's a simple practice. When you feel frustration rising, install of clenching your jaw or firing off a message. Pause. Ask yourself, what examination was just violated, and why was I so attacked to it? You'll be surprised how often that single question dissolves the intensity. Anger isn't your enemy. It's your compass, if you're willing to read it correctly. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can say is nothing at all. That may sound counterintuitive in a world that awards the loudest voice, the sharpest comeback, the most viral response. We've been taken that silence equals wakeness, that if you don't respond immediately, you're letting someone walk over you. But what if that isn't true? What if, in many situations, silence isn't surrender, but self-control? Let's be honest. Most of us have said something in the heat of the moment we wish we could take back. A sentiment sent without thinking. A message fueled by anger. A comment that turned a bridge. But how often do we regret pausing? Almost never. Silence rarely haunts us. Angry words do. Seneca, one of the most quoted Stoic philosophers, said, "Anger, if not restored, is often more harmful to us than the injury that provokes it." When we react instantly, we're not responding from wisdom. We're reacting from impulse, and impulses are rare wise. Think of silence not as passivity, but as power under control. That moment when someone disrespects you, challenges you, or thoughts shade, your instinct may be to strike back. But if you can resist that urge and pause install, something remarkable happens. You gain clarity. You separate ego from values. You give yourself time to choose your response install of becoming a slave to emotion. Plato taught that a wise person speaks because they have something to say. A fool because they have to say something. You don't always need the last word. In fact, when you stop engaging in every battle, you reserve energy for what actually matters. Silence becomes a filter. It lets nonsense pass while you again steady. And no, this isn't about suppressing emotion or bottling things up. It's about choosing timing, choosing tone, choosing the moment. That space between stimulus and response, that's where your power lives. There is a heavy cost to holding on to pain. Not just the pain itself, but the story you keep playing around it. The situation. The silent arguments you keep having in your head. Every time you revisit it, you reopen the wound, even though the moment has already passed. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The person who hurt you has most likely moved on. They're living their life, unaware that they still occupy space in your mind. Meanwhile, you're carrying the emotional weight alone. Marcus Aurelius once wrote that the best form of revenge is refusing to become like the one who was wronged you. Because the moment their behavior shapes your inner world, you've surrendered your peace. Letting go isn't about pretending nothing happened. It's about choosing not to bleed forever from a wound that no longer services you. It's qualifying authority over your own story. Aristotle believed we are shaped by what we repeatedly practice. If you rehearse resentment, bitterness becomes your baseline. But if you practice release, clarity follows. Forgiveness isn't for them. It's for your nervous system, for your sanity, for your future self. Plato taught that justice harms the soul of the one who carries it. So when you cling to anger, you extend your own suffering. Try this once. Say it plainly. This happened. It hurt. And I'm done carrying it. Not because it was fair, not because they are apologized, but because you refuse to stay trapped in the past. Stoicism was never about emotional numbness. It was about wisdom, about staying rooted in the present instead of being dragged backward by memory. Sometimes strength isn't endurance. Sometimes it's release. Another silent train on your peace is the urge to manage other people's lives. It starts as concern, then slowly becomes control. And before you realize it, your mood depends on their choices. But here's the truth the Stoics were clear about. You cannot control people. Not your partner. Not your friends. Not your family. Epictetus made it simple. Some things are within your control, and some things are not. Peace begins the moment you stop confusing the two. You can influence. You can support. But you cannot force growth. Carl Jung warned that trying to fix others often distracts us from the work we need to do with ourselves. And Socrates reminded us that wisdom begins with recognizing how little control we truly have. Your real responsibility isn't to correct everyone. It's to lead by example, to stay steady, to offer insight without attack to the outlet. The moment your peace depends on someone else changing, you've handed them power over your inner world. Release that contract. Let people walk their path, even if it's messy, even if you wouldn't choose it. That freedom you give them, it gives you freedom too. The mind has a dangerous habit of filling in blanks. A delivered message, a distracted glance, a short reply. And suddenly, your brain constructs a story where you're ignored, disrespected, or unwanted. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, you don't have to turn this into something. Between the event and the meaning you assign to it, there is a choice. Carl Jung said that until the unconscious becomes conscious, it controls your life. And you call it fate. That means, unless you question your estimates, you'll keep reacting the same way. Here's a grounding framework. Awareness. Control. Direction. First, notice the physical signal. The tension, the heat, the racing thoughts. Second, slow the response. Breathe. Pause. Create space. Third, choose a better interpretation. Maybe it wasn't personal. Maybe it wasn't intentional. Maybe it's just life being imperfect. Wisdom begins when you stop believing every story your mind tells you. Most arguments aren't about truth. They're about ego. We don't listen to understand. We listen to prepare a rebuttal. Epictetus warned that we have 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Lowering your voice during conflict is powerful. It shifts the energy. It disarms tension. Ask questions, update of attacking. Seek clarity, install of dominance. When everyone else is active, the calmest person becomes the anchor. Presence leads where volume fails. Your body often senses conflict before your mind does. The tight jaw, the shallow breath, the heavy chest. These are signals, not weaknesses. Epictetus taught that we're disturbed not by events, but by our interpretation of them. But interpretation is hard to change when tension has already taken over. So listen early, before the whisper becomes a shout. Pause. Breathe. Ask what's really being triggered. Your body isn't your enemy. It's an early warning system. Attention is your most valued currency, and not everyone deserves it. Drama threads on engagement. Silence starves it. Socrates believed a meaningful life comes from knowing what truly matters. Before reacting, ask, does this reserve me? You can without chaos, without absorbing it. That's discipline. Gratitude is one of the fastest ways to reset your nervous system. You cannot be deeply grateful and deeply angry at the same time. Marcus Aurelius advised focusing on what you have, not what's missing. Not to deny pain, but to ground yourself in reality. Gratitude doesn't erase problems, it restores perspective. Name 3 things you're grateful for in the heat of the moment, even small ones. Anger narrows your vision. Gratitude widens it. Your peace was never dependent on the noise around you. It was always built from the strength within. Every time you choose presence over reaction, you're not just surviving, you're becoming. If this way of thinking results with you, don't let it end here. This channel, Interesting Facts, is for those who choose deposit over noise, clarity over chaos, and growth over comfort. Subscribe to Interesting Facts if you want timeless wisdom, Stoic principles, and practical insights that actually change how you think and live. Not motivation that fades, but ideas that stay with you. Stay with us. More knowledge, more clarity, more control.